manner and have dinner or whatever. Why don't we we're kind of a fraternity, and that's kind of what we are. Most of you I haven't seen for a good number of years. Bernie Hayden I haven't seen, and I used to talk to him every single day, get us some winners on the court, Bernie. But since we're all kind of a fraternity here, why don't they just serve the food, and we'll have people come up and just do this thing very apropos, for the occasion here. All right, so let's have Max Forge come on up here and say a couple of words. There's a reason why. You probably made a bad call in his game too, but he showed up.
Why did you tell me you were here? I know you're supposed to be here.
At Bath, always said that the nicest group of ball players of any sport were the handball players off the court. He was true. Now you guys know. And for a sport to be successful, we're supposed to have three things. Good audience, good game,
Go off the speak loud.
and thirdly, is a good referee to hold everything together. After that, we thank you and your seeing eye dog. Last week, Morris was standing on the line to get into a movie, and there was a kid in front of him with yellow and gray and orange.
The match knew that Max Force won. I spoke to Joe Elman, who was a referee. He said, well, he says, if Oscar lost in the first round, it wouldn't even make sense. How could I let Oscar lose? Thank you very much.
I want to say one more thing.
We have the rebuttal.
Right after that, Joe died. It wasn't the fault of yours or mine. But there was a rumor that went around the handball courts right then that Nat Shifter passed away, that you had passed away too. And the mayor went up to visit Morris's house.
Irving Rosenblatt.
His mother opened the door with a chain on. She wouldn't open it. He says, I heard about Morris. It's terrible. She says, yeah, schwupp. That means he's sleeping. He'll give a shot. And the mayor says, yeah, it's terrible. She says, he's sleeping. And then all of a sudden, there's a commotion at the door. And who comes with his jockey shorts, with his sexy little legs, torn underwear, and a cigar, sleeping in his mouth? You sleep with a cigar? And he goes, hey, schmuck, what do you want? What the hell do you want? The mayor said he was never so happy to have him badmouth him in his whole life. And that's the funniest story about him.
Something else to tell him. I'm like a jerk. I forgot the important thing.
Okay, let's serve.
Got his yellow pad?
Yeah, ready. You're ready. When the now 15 minutes from now, you're ready.
I have to be quiet. Let's have quiet.
Order in the court.
Why? You want to hear greatness.
This is one guy that doesn't need a microphone with all the yelling on the court. You do. You don't give him the microphone back.
Good lady, keep quiet.
You have to just sit there.
I wrote a little poem to Mars commemorating his greatness. And with the music. All right. Yes, indeed.
You got a mic, Joe. You got a mic, television. You got a mic inside.
Morris Levitsky is really great. He's 80 today, but he looks 98. He's the head referee at West Fifth Street Park, though most of his calls are made after dark. When players lose their cool and begin to run amok, Levitsky is always full of kind words like, you hit it out, you schmuck. Sometimes a player will question his call by saying, for instance, you never saw that ball. To which Levitsky would devilishly rebound, I don't need to see it, I call it by sound. It's not bad. It's a little fun. Or if a few would shout, "You're a blind referee, that ball was in," Levitsky would respond, "Vega Hagen." But it has the ring of truth, Levitsky. All right. This microphone's very inferior. This. Take him out, man. All right. The smell of men's sweat often pervades the park, especially after doubles with Benji and Louie. The only thing worse, I think all would agree, is the stink of the cheap Levitsky's 50-cent stogie. Not too funny. All right. Levitsky prides himself on being a maven of limericks, crosswords, and obscure movie trivia. Alas, there was one man who was truly much faster, the great Leo Levine, the one and only clue master. Sorry, Levitsky. All right, speaking of crosswords, Levitsky, I have you a question. What's 6 inches? What's 6 inches long, has a head, and makes women scream with joy? The answer is money. All right. Levitsky was always Stevie's favorite referee, but the question was asked out of loyalty or was he paid a fee? The truth, I fear, will never be surrendered, for Stevie won't tell, Levitsky can't remember. I've done it before, and then you can go back Of Levitsky's playing, not much can be said. I don't think he would beat even Zalen with a 10-point spread. I have a few more. Mike, how am I doing? Joe, you're great. Am I interfering with your digestive process? Of Levitsky's intelligence, he'd brag he's second to none, except that the one-wall rule book was written by Blackman.
That doesn't rhyme either.
But it's true. It's the best I can do, man. I always ask Levitsky, who's the greatest player? Me, Davidoff, Oscar, or Sandler? He scratches his head and he looks away, but he never gives me the right answer.
Joe, Shakespeare safe.
Hey, Joe, when you read off that entire business, it sounded like Robert Burns. You must be a great poet.
Thank you, thank you. Why was there music when I was talking?
Okay. Joe, that was very good. I didn't think you had that in you. I was very impressed. Full sentences, too. Okay. Next person, who's been near and dear to Morris Levitsky for years, who wrote the rule book and then comes up with a few of his own things, which is the most unbelievable trait I ever saw in any particular individual. It's the one and only Mickey, the referee, Blackman.
Testing? Okay. I got a call from Neil. Now, I'm sure many of you don't know who's sitting at this long table that says, what does it say? Levitsky Invitational Handball Reunion. That's a piece of a sign. The top of the sign says summer of '90. And the guy who had that sign made and who had an affair, not with Morris, but for Morris, the bearded lady over here, Neil Bosian. Now, a long time ago, I don't know exactly when it happened, but Morris, Jerry, Levitsky, and by the way, Jerry is short for Geronimo, just in case you didn't know that. I don't know when Morris adopted the bearded lady here.
After my first jump.
When Geronimo took his first jump, he adopted the bearded lady. So Neil has always been his son. People say that Morris and I are like brothers, and maybe we are very close for whatever the reason. But you don't realize that Morris has two real relatives, a sister and a brother who are sitting up here. And in case you remember your Mother Goose, there was one little verse, somebody, I forget, where have you been? I have been to, oh, Pussycat, that's what it is.
Mr. Morris. And they always told me in the past that Morris lived in the shadow of his brother. And I found out why today. They couldn't afford a beach umbrella. And most of the people were castigating this poor chap for his poor referee. I don't think so. I once put him to the test, and I said, Morris, I'm on the court, I'm about to hit the ball, and a bird swoops over the wall, and I hit the bird with the ball. And I said, Morris, what's the call? the bird's out. Bird call.
It's a bird call.
I'm going to wait until this stops chewing because this is very important stuff. I wanted to share with you one thing, and I have a letter here from the White House. Imagine that, from the Clinton White House. And it says in effect, Dear Morris Levitsky, congratulations on your 80th birthday. I understand you two slept in the Lincoln bedroom. With Lincoln. And somebody else here said he had a very wonderful career in the military. I think it was Neil who said he built pontoon bridges.
That was Danny, I can't take credit.
His expertise in this field is so great and so well known. They made a movie about it, A Bridge Too Long. And one day on one of his great assignments, the colonel asked him, you got to do all this work at night. We're going to try and divert the enemy's attention from one of the crossings over the River Rhine. You are going to build a bridge, not a real bridge, but one made out of wood and paper mache. We want to fool the enemy. And Morris said his guys worked all night. And the next day, when the Germans came over with their airplanes, they dropped wooden bombs. But I am truly going to cut this short. And I just wanted you to know. He was he was 6'4" then. And it's only through this abuse that he's gotten from everybody else that he shrunk, we chopped him down. I was taller. I'm shrinking too. Anyway, thank you very much. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that in going from table to table, taking pictures, that I thought that Morris had won a lot of handball championships. At every table, I heard a guy say that fucking Levitsky. He made a call against me, and he won the championship for Stevie. So anyway, what I want to also say is that it's really the measure of a man's life. That if you get 80 people who are not family, but yet feel strongly enough about a man, to come together, miss the basketball tournaments, to leave their families and get together on a Sunday to honor him. I know I love Morris, I know all of you love Morris, and I know all of you are wondering why.
Nothing with Morris. Not by the time you played him. I gotta listen to all that, no matter what victory it was, until I finally at least won the Nationals 1 year with Mark Levine and 1 year with Howie Eisenberg. But as you get to know him, you get to love him, and he is like a surrogate father to me, and that's why I'm here, and that's why we kind of put this thing together. More important, actually not more important, but as important as that is I'm doing the talking here, and I'm kind of emceeing this kind of impromptu type of thing. But the two people who were instrumental, really, in putting this together is Arlene and Nat in the back. And maybe it would be a good idea for Arlene to come up and say a few words also.
There is no way I was not going to talk. Oh, very good. Well, let me just make it easy. Matilda talks. Hello, it's not working. Matilda is the owner of Kono's, and she is the woman who provided us with this fantastic food and beautiful view and room. There's Matilda, the cute one over there. I also want to honor her staff and the cook, the cute guy back there with the hat. And all the serving crew. I want to thank, oh, young lovers, talk to me. I want to thank Neil for the support that he gave me throughout this. I want to thank Mickey Blackman for talking to Morris every night. I want to thank my friend Sheila Gorski, who supports me in ways she can't even imagine. Some of you may know the most wonderful man in the room. In case you don't, his name is Nat Lish. He's my husband. As my students used to say, working with someone who's like butter. And that's Albert Apuzzi. Very quietly, Albert Albert managed to cut through like butter to everything I needed. Thank you, Albert. You're so absolutely adorable. Wait a minute, I'm not done, because my nickname for Albert and Dory is Lois and Clark. Mr. and Mrs. Superman, that's my personal take on it. I just want to tell you about my connection with Morris and how this happens. We know each other because him and my mother had a kind of relationship.
I know that's hard for you to all believe. Isn't that wild?
It's a side that you don't know about. In fact, I don't know about it. And when I first met Morris, I couldn't stomach him, because, which is normal. He was taking my mother's affections away from me, so I didn't like him. But what happened was, over time, the damn guy just grows on you. And I was thinking about what it was that drew me to make this party for him, and what's drawing you here. And the one word I came up with, which really rings true for me, is what you say, you nasty person. The word is fidelity. He was faithful to my mother and supported her in so many ways. And then I inherited that. And he has been faithful to me all these years as a friend. So he's not really my uncle. Just my mother said, call him uncle. Because he was around all the time. And in that fidelity, I think that is the outstanding word for him. So whether he was faithful to my mother, or me, or to the game of handball, or even calling a game, you know, it's such a struggle for him to say the right thing, to do the right thing, to keep people from fighting. You don't know the struggle, you probably do, that he goes through to keep fidelity in there. It's just such a strong part of his personality. I love you, you tough old bird, you. You are just faithfulness. That's the word I think that just is all of Morris. Anything else I have to say?
Happy birthday.
Libby, you want to say something? I don't want to put you on the stand, just if you want to. Not to. So good, dear. Hello. All right. Not to imitate you, but I have something else to say. And that is, you guys, we're just so, what should I do? Don't shake it, just keep it straight. You guys were just so interesting to get in touch with. Never mind. I don't have a loud voice. It was so interesting to I didn't let anybody come until I know that I spoke to you. Because this isn't the handball courts where you can just maybe come or maybe not come. But each time, each one of you called me and spoke to me, I could tell the excitement in your voice and how you wanted to participate in this. And thank you so much. It was such a charge speaking to everybody in the room. Some of you a little later, okay. Some people even yesterday called, okay. But I'm so glad that you're part of this. Thank you. Here, Mr. Faithful, or you take it.
Oh. You know, it's funny. We have such an eclectic group of people here, of players and such. It's almost as eclectic as the Levitsky family. You got Morris over here, and then you got his brother Avey on the other side. I mean, it's amazing, from one end of the spectrum to the other. But I know his sister would like to say a few words.
It's just so exciting to be here with my brother, celebrate, and everyone else to celebrate his 80th birthday. And truthfully, I was never aware that my brother had so many wonderful friends that care for him and love him almost as much as I do. And hopefully we'll all be here to celebrate many, many more birthdays. And it's just wonderful being here. Thank you.
And fortunately, we are out of time, and we're not going to be able to hear Morris speak. No, we're kidding. I know you got plenty. He has a book inside. So let's hear it for the master of the handball cards, Morris Levitsky.
Mike, please work, do me a favor. You know, there isn't really much for me to say, because everything that I know about has already been said. So if I sound repetitious, it's really not my fault. Okay, I'm very happy that all you people showed up. Too bad we couldn't have it at Madison Square Garden. I would have had so many people there that I couldn't have omitted anybody. Unfortunately, there are people in the park that were not invited because we can't have everybody here. So it's possible I made a couple of enemies. That's possible. I want you to laugh at that. In other words, everybody did a great job. But I'm left holding the bag, and I walk around the park. How do I look? I feel like a jerk. I can't look everyone in the eye. They're gonna wish me a happy birthday, and they weren't here. Do you get the idea what I'm talking about? I'm sure you do. Because you all look intelligent, except when you get on a handball court. I'm glad the mic is working. So I want to repeat to all you people who came from outer space to wish me a happy birthday. It is the greatest job I ever saw. You came here in a casual dress, most of you. Some of you people thought you'd leave here and go to play handball later on. I don't know. I never got one. But I'll leave insisted that I'm so accustomed to wearing dirty old clothes. That was the greatest ordeal I ever had, to get into something that doesn't look like I looked before. And I stayed up all night worrying about it. You can believe me when I tell you this. It's the truth. Now I'll tell you a funny little story. On the table, there is something that says, "That's the spirit, 76. I wish everyone could hear what I have to say right now. I was given that by my friend Frank Gehry, who couldn't make it. He was out of town. It was my 76th birthday. And then he called me Mr. Handball for some stupid reason. I'm not Mr. Handball. I'm Mr. Bad Caller. And I dare not bring it into the park because I was worried, Mike, please wait right now, that Vic Hershkowitz would get angry because he was known as Mr. Handball. So I kept that in my house as a secret. I showed it to Arlene. She said, by all means, bring it down. Let everybody take a look at it. I had a professional man do a caricature of me. And if I look like Mr. Handball, I look like I'm in Madison Square Garden right now. You look at it. And among the other plaques, there's one presented to me by Charlie Sheldon. It's a personal plaque. So I'm going to end my conversation by saying one thing. When the person reaches the age of 80, he begins to feel that he's old. And I feel that way, unfortunately. I find problems with this, with that. I became a kretsch. You don't know what the word means? Ask somebody next to you. My final parting words is, I was so happy to be here and meet all you lovely people. And I'm very lucky that my brother hasn't spoken as yet. And he's been very